I thought maybe they had a blip on. I'll call a special meeting of the Ascension Parish Council to order Wednesday, June 29, 2011. Our invocation tonight be led by Councilman Randy Cluart.
Please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Lord, you blessed us with this day. Lord, we have a road to go, and we work together. Lord, let us all find some kind of solidarity in this and work toward the good of the people. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Okay, roll call, Ms. Cinnamon. I have Councilman Benny Johnson, Councilman Chris Lohr, who will be here shortly. They're tied up in traffic. Councilman Kent Shakespeare is absent, along with Councilman Todd Lambert. Don't have any chair additions. Anyone wishing to speak on this agenda item, please sign in with Cinnamon, and you'll be allowed 3 minutes. I'll move to number 5, the reading of an ordinance. Ms. Tony, please.
This is Plan B, the Ascension Parish Council District lines, and this is an ordinance to repeal descriptions and designations of existing Ascension Parish Council districts, establish new Ascension Parish Council districts, define the territory of each new district, describe boundaries of each new district, designate each new district, and to address other matters relative thereto. Be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Council on behalf of the Ascension Parish Consolidated Government that the Ascension Parish Council districts, their territory, boundaries, and designations by hereby adopted as follows. District 1 is comprised of precincts 45, 47, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, and 74 in their entirety. The boundary description for District 1 is as follows. The region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of the Mississippi River and Bayou Lafourche and proceeding southerly along Bayou Lafourche to Iberville Street and proceeding easterly along Iberville Street to Lafourche Street, proceeding southerly along Lafourche Street to Opelousas Street and proceeding easterly along Opelousas Street to Chitimacha Street and proceeding northerly along Chitimacha Street to Nickel Street and proceeding easterly along Nickel Street to Railroad Avenue and proceeding southerly along Railroad Avenue to Claiborne Street, and proceeding easterly along Claiborne Street to St. Patrick Street, and proceeding northerly along St. Patrick Street to Opelousas Street, and proceeding easterly along Opelousas Street to Church Street, and proceeding southerly along Church Street to Clay Street, and proceeding easterly along Clay Street to Tebow Drive, and proceeding southerly along Tebow Drive to Missouri Pacific Railroad, and proceeding easterly along Missouri Pacific Railroad to Highway 70, and proceeding easterly along Highway 70 to State Route 3120, and proceeding northwesterly along State Route 3120 to Lemonville Cutoff Road, and proceeding easterly along Lemonville Cutoff Road to Bayou Verret, and proceeding easterly along Bayou Verret to Unnamed Canal, Tiger Lane segment 5727414, and proceeding easterly along Unnamed Canal to State Route 18, and proceeding northerly along State Route 18 to the intersection with the Mississippi River, and proceeding easterly then southerly along the Mississippi River to Buena Vista Street, and proceeding westerly along Buena Vista Street to Ascension Street, St. James Parish line, and proceeding westerly along Ascension St. James Parish line to the Ascension Assumption Parish line, and proceeding westerly to the Ascension Iberville Parish line, and proceeding northerly along the Ascension Iberville Parish line to the Mississippi River, and proceeding southeasterly along the Mississippi River to the point of beginning.
District 2 is comprised of precincts 34, 35, 40, 43, 48, 49, and 50 in their entirety. The boundary description for District 2 is as follows. The region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of Lafourche Street and Opelousas Street, and proceeding northerly along Lafourche Street to Iberville Street, and proceeding northwesterly along Iberville Street to Bayou Lafourche, and proceeding northerly along Bayou Lafourche to the Mississippi River, and proceeding easterly along Mississippi River to the intersection of 1449, Stafford Levy Road, and proceeding northwesterly on 1449 Stafford Levy Road to State Highway 942 River Road, and proceeding northeasterly along State Highway 942 River Road to State Route 44, and proceeding northerly along State Route 44 to State Route 22, and proceeding westerly along State Route 22 to Illinois Central Railroad, and proceeding northwesterly along Illinois Central Railroad to Bayou Conway, and proceeding northeasterly along Bayou Conway to South Hodgson Road, and proceeding northerly along South Hodgson Road to State Route 30, and proceeding easterly along State Route 30 to State Route 431, and proceeding northeasterly along State Route 431 to State Route 429, and proceeding easterly along State Route 429 to State Route 22, and proceeding easterly along State Route 22 to the Ascension Livingston Parish line, and proceeding southeasterly, then northeasterly along Ascension Livingston Parish line to Ascension St. John Parish line, and proceeding southerly along the Ascension St. John Parish line to the Ascension St. James Parish line, and proceeding westerly along the Ascension St. James Parish line to the Mississippi River, and proceeding to the intersection of the Mississippi River and State Route 18, and proceeding southerly along State Route 18 to unnamed canal, Tiger Line segment 5727414, and proceeding southwesterly along unnamed canal, Tiger Line segment 5727414 to Bayou Verret, and proceeding westerly along Bayou Verret to Lemonville Cutoff Road, and proceeding southeasterly, then southwesterly along Lemonville Cutoff Road to State Route 3120, and proceeding southerly along State Route 3120 to Highway 70, and proceeding southwesterly along State Route 70 to Missouri Pacific Railroad, and proceeding westerly along Missouri Pacific Railroad to Tebow Drive, and proceeding northerly along Tebow Drive to Clay Street, and proceeding westerly along Clay Street to Church Street, and proceeding northerly along Church Street to Opelousas Street, and proceeding westerly along Opelousas Street to St. Patrick Street, and proceeding southerly along St. Patrick Street to Claiborne Street, and proceeding westerly along Claiborne Street to Railroad Avenue, and proceeding northerly along Railroad Avenue to Nickel Street, and proceeding westerly along Nickel Street to Chittimatcha Street, and proceeding southerly along Chittimatcha Street to Opelousas Street, and proceeding westerly along Opelousas Street to the point of beginning.
District 3. District 3 is comprised of precincts 28, 30, 36, 37, 39, 42, 44, and 60 in their entirety. The boundary description for District 3 is as follows. The region bounded and described as follows. Beginning at the point of intersection of the Mississippi River in 1449 and proceeding westerly, then northerly along the Mississippi River to New River, and proceeding northerly along New River to Highway 73, and proceed northerly on Highway 73 to Cornerview Road, and proceeding easterly along Cornerview Road to Smith Bayou, and proceeding northerly along Smith Bayou to New River, and proceeding northeasterly along New River to State Route 938, and proceeding northerly along State Route 938 to North Coontrap Street, and proceeding easterly along North Coontrap Street to West Toby Street, and proceeding easterly along West Toby Street to Louisiana and Arkansas Railway, and proceeding northerly along Louisiana and Arkansas Railway to Bayou Northeast, and proceeding easterly along Bayou Northeast to Airline Highway, and proceeding southerly along Airline Highway to Bayou Northeast Road, and proceeding easterly along Bayou Northeast Road to North Burnside Avenue, and proceeding southerly along North Burnside Avenue to West Cornerview Street, and proceeding westerly along West Cornerview Street to South Ida Avenue, and proceeding southerly along South Ida Avenue, South Hambrick Avenue, and proceeding southerly along South Hambrick Avenue to West Worthy Street, and proceeding easterly along West Worthy Street to South Burnside Avenue, and proceeding southerly along South Burnside Avenue to State Route 30, and proceeding easterly along State Route 30 to South Hodgson Avenue, and proceeding southerly along South Hodgson Avenue to Bayou Conway, and proceeding westerly along Bayou Conway to Illinois Central Railroad, and proceeding southeasterly along Illinois Central Railroad to State Route 22, and proceeding easterly along State Route 22 to State Route 44, and proceeding southerly along State Route 44 to State Route 942, and proceeding westerly along River Road to intersection of 1449, the point of the beginning.
District 4 is comprised of precincts 1, 7, and 16 in their entirety. The boundary description for District 4 is as follows. The region bounded and described as follows. Beginning at the point of intersection of Manchac Bayou and Perkins Road, and proceeding easterly along Manchac Bayou to Airline Highway, and proceeding southerly along Airline Highway to Duplessis Road, and proceeding westerly along Duplessis Road to 1531 Tiggy Duplessis Road, and proceeding southerly along 1531 Tiggy Duplessis Road to State Route 621, and proceeding westerly along State Route 621 to Highway 73, and proceeding northerly along Highway 73 to Miller Road, and proceeding westerly along Miller Road to Bluff Road, and proceeding northerly along Bluff Road to Perkins Road, and proceeding northerly along Perkins Road to the point of beginning.
District 5. District 5 is comprised of precincts 4, 5, 12, and 13 in their entirety. The region bounded and described as follows. Beginning at the point of intersection Highway 42 and 44, and proceeding easterly along Highway 42 to Muddy Creek, and proceeding northerly along Muddy Creek to Bayou Manchac, and proceeding easterly along Bayou Manchac to State Route 42, and proceeding westerly along State Route 42 to State Route 431, and proceeding southerly along State Route 431 to Henderson Bayou, and proceeding westerly along Henderson Bayou to Norwood Road, and proceeding easterly along Norwood Road to State Route 931, and proceeding southerly then westerly along State Route 931 to Highway 44, and proceeding northerly along Highway 44 to the point of beginning.
District 6 is comprised of precincts 14, 15, 22, 26, and 27 in their entirety. The boundary description for District 6 is as follows. The region bounded and described as follows. Beginning at the point of intersection of Highway 931 and Norwood Road, and proceeding westerly along Norwood Road to Henderson Bayou, and proceeding northeasterly along Henderson Bayou to State Route 431, and proceeding northerly along State Route 431 to Highway 42, and proceeding easterly along Highway 42 to Amite River, and proceeding southeasterly along Amite River to Bayou Pierre, and proceeding westerly along Bayou Pierre to State Route 22, and proceeding southwesterly, then westerly along State Route 22 to State Route 429, and proceeding northerly along State Route 429 to State Route 431, and proceeding northerly along State Route 431 to State Route 621, and proceeding westerly along State Route 621 to unnamed stream, river, Tiger Lane segment 34382, and proceeding westerly along unnamed stream, river, Tiger Line segment 34382 to State Route 621, and proceeding westerly along State Route 621 to 559 George Rouillet Road, and proceeding northerly along 559 George Rouillet Road to Highway 931, and proceeding easterly then northerly along Highway 931 to the point of beginning.
District 7. District 7 is comprised of precincts 2, 3, 8, 10, and 70 in their entirety. The region bounded and described as follows. Beginning at the point of intersection of Bayou Manchac and Airline Highway, and proceeding easterly along Bayou Manchac to Muddy Creek, and proceeding southerly along Muddy Creek to Highway 42, and proceeding southwesterly along Highway 42 to Highway 44, and proceeding southerly along Highway 44 to 6, and proceeding westerly along 6 to Highway 929, and proceeding northerly along Highway 929 to Highway 42, and proceeding westerly along Highway 42 to Highway 930, and proceeding southerly along Highway 930 to Airline Highway, and proceeding northerly along Airline Highway to the point of beginning.
District 8. District 8 is comprised of precincts 6 and 71 in their entirety. The boundary description for District 8 is as follows. The region bounded and described as follows. Beginning at the point of intersection of the Ascension Iberville Parish line and State Route 30, and proceeding northerly along Ascension Iberville Parish line to Alligator Bayou, and proceeding northerly along Alligator Bayou to Manchac Bayou, and proceeding northerly along Manchac Bayou to Perkins Road, and proceeding southerly along Perkins Road to Bluff Road, and proceeding southerly along Bluff Road to 1024 Miller Road, and proceeding easterly along 1024 Miller Road to Highway 73, and proceeding southerly along Highway 73 to State Route 621, and proceeding easterly along State Route 621 to L. Landry Road, and proceeding southerly along L. Landry Road to State Route 74, and proceeding westerly along State Route 74 to I-10, and proceeding southerly along I-10 to Cornerview Road, and proceeding westerly along Cornerview Road to Highway 73, and proceeding southerly along Highway 73 to New River, and proceeding westerly, then southerly along New River to the intersection with the Mississippi River, and proceeding westerly along the Mississippi River to the Ascension Iberville Parish line, and proceeding northerly to the point of beginning.
District 9. District 9 is comprised of precincts 17, 20, 24, 25, 41, and 72 in their entirety. The region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of L. Landry Road and State Route 74, and proceeding northerly along L. Landry Road to State Route 621, and proceeding easterly along State Route 621 to 1531, and proceeding northerly along to Duplessis Road, and proceeding easterly along Duplessis Road to Germany Road, and proceeding easterly along Germany Road to 168, and proceeding southerly along 168 to State Route 621, and proceeding easterly along State Route 621 to Highway 44, and proceeding southerly along Highway 44 to Black Bayou Road, and proceeding easterly along Black Bayou Road to 1302, and proceeding northerly along 1302 to Conti Road, and proceeding easterly along Conti Road to unnamed Stream River, Tiger Line segment 34382, and proceeding easterly along unnamed Stream River, Tiger Line segment 34382 to Conte Road, and proceeding easterly along Conte Road to Highway 431, and proceeding southerly along Highway 431 to Black Bayou, and proceeding westerly along Black Bayou to Church Point Road, and proceeding westerly along Church Point Road to 1302, and proceeding northerly along 1302 to 228, and proceeding westerly along 228 to unnamed power lines, and proceeding northwesterly along unnamed power lines to Jack LeBlanc Road, and proceeding southerly along Jack LeBlanc Road to Airline Highway, and proceeding northerly along Airline Highway to State Route 74, and proceeding westerly along State Route 74 to the point of beginning.
District 10 is comprised of precincts 23, 31, 32, 33, 58, 73, and 75 in their entirety. The boundary description for District 10 is as follows. The region bounded and described as follows. Beginning at the point of intersection of Highway 74 and I-10 and proceeding easterly along Highway 74 to Airline Highway, and proceeding southerly along Airline Highway to Jack LeBlanc Road, and proceeding northerly along Jack LeBlanc Road to unnamed power lines, and proceeding southeasterly along unnamed power lines to 228 Cannon Road, and proceeding easterly along 228 Cannon Road to 1302 Roddy Road, and proceeding southerly along 1302 Roddy Road to Church Point Road, and proceeding easterly along Church Point Road to Black Bayou, and proceeding easterly along Black Bayou to State Route 431, and proceeding southerly then southeasterly along State Route 431 to State Route 30, and proceeding westerly along State Route 30 to South Burnside Avenue, and proceeding northerly along South Burnside Avenue to West Worthy Street, and proceeding westerly along West Worthy Street to South Hambrick Avenue, South Ida Avenue, and proceeding northerly along South Hambrick Avenue, South Ida Avenue to West Cornerview Street, and proceeding easterly along West Cornerview Street to North Burnside Avenue, and proceeding northerly along North Burnside Avenue to Bayou Northeast Road, and proceeding westerly along Bayou Northeast Road to North Airline Highway, and proceeding northerly along North Airline Highway to Bayou Northeast, and proceeding westerly along Bayou Northeast to Louisiana and Arkansas Railroad, and proceeding southerly along Louisiana and Arkansas Railroad to West Toby Street, and proceeding westerly along West Toby Street to North Coontrap Avenue, and proceeding westerly along North Coontrap Avenue to West New River Street, and proceeding southerly along West New River Street to New River, and proceeding westerly along New River to Smith Bayou, and proceeding southerly along Smith Bayou to Cornerview Road, and proceeding westerly along Cornerview Road to I-10, and proceeding northerly along I-10 to the point of beginning.
District 11. District 11 is comprised of precincts 9, 11, 18, and 21 in their entirety. The region bounded and described as follows. Beginning at the point of intersection of Highway 930 and Highway 42, and proceeding easterly along Highway 42 to Highway 929, and proceeding southerly along Highway 929 to 6, and proceeding east along 6 to Highway 44, and proceeding southerly along Highway 44 to Highway 931, and proceeding easterly along Highway 931 to 559, and proceeding southerly along 559 to Highway 621, and proceeding westerly along Highway 621 to 1302, and proceeding southerly along 1302 to Black Bayou Road, and proceeding westerly along Black Bayou Road to Highway 44, and proceeding northerly along Highway 44 to State Route 621, and proceeding westerly along State Route 621 to 168, and proceeding northerly along 168 to Germany Road, and proceeding westerly along Germany Road to Airline Highway, and proceeding northerly along Airline Highway to Highway 930, and proceeding northerly then northeasterly along Highway 930 to the point of beginning. Be it further ordained by the Ascension Parish Council on behalf of the Ascension Parish Consolidated Government that the Ascension Parish Council districts that were adopted by the Parish Governing Authority on December 20th, 2001 shall remain in full force and effect for all purposes except for the election of members of the Ascension Parish Council at the 2011 regular election until 12 a.m. January 1st, 2021. Be it further ordained by the Ascension Parish Council on behalf of the Ascension Parish Consolidated Government that the Ascension Parish Council districts established in this ordinance shall be effective for the limited purpose of qualifying for an election to the Ascension Parish Council at the 2011 regular election and shall become fully effective for all purposes at 12 a.m. January 1st, 2021. Each precinct and municipality referenced in this ordinance means that precinct or municipality, its boundaries and its territories as adopted by the parish governing authority on or before the date of adoption of this ordinance, regardless of any subsequent boundary changes in the precinct or municipality. If any word, clause, phrase, section, or other portion of this ordinance is determined to be legally null, void, invalid, illegal, unconstitutional, or otherwise legally unenforceable, all remaining words, clauses, phrases, sections, and other portions of this ordinance shall remain in full force and effect. The provisions of this ordinance shall hereby being declared to be fully severable. This ordinance shall become effective upon approval by the parish president or as otherwise provided in the Home Rule Charter for a consolidated government for Ascension Parish, whichever occurs sooner, subject to relevant pre-clearance provisions of the U.S. Voting Rights Act of 1965.
I need a motion to open public hearing, please.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Randy Cluart, second by Councilman Dennis Cullen. Anyone wish to speak on this item, come forward and sign with Ms. Suzanne. I do have 4 speakers right now. First would be Mr. Cedric Floyd. Please come forward, sir. You're allowed 3 minutes.
Good evening. I have a handout. This is the Justice Department guidelines and regulation for pre-clearance under Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. I'm Cedric Floyd. I'm an expert demographer. My company has created and done redistricting in the state for the last 30 years successfully. Been part of 13 successful Section 2 cases in the state of Louisiana, a statewide Clark case that created judicial districts around the state, the Chisholm case that created the black seat on the Supreme Court, Louisiana Supreme Court. My 2010 clients are DeSoto Parish Police Jury, Sabine Parish Police Jury, Red River Parish Police Jury, Natchitoches Parish Police Jury, St. Bernard Parish Council, St. Helena Police Jury. I don't know if you know it or not, you have little time on the clock. when it comes down to pre-clearance, it's 60 days. If your plan is not up at the Justice Department by that time, it may not be pre-cleared by August 29th, which is 7 working days prior to qualifying on September the 7th. My concern is that the proposed plan reduces the black majority district of District 1 from the benchmark plan. And according to the regulations of the Justice Department, that's a no-no. Like I said, that nobody in this state has created redistricting plans more than my company has, and I'm certified as an expert witness in the western, middle, and eastern districts of U.S. District Court in Louisiana. And I turn you to the third page concerning alternatives retrogression plans. And you have to demonstrate, this is the Justice Department regulation, in those circumstances, the submitting jurisdiction seeking preclearance of such a plan when you reduce under the benchmark plan bears the burden of demonstrating that a less retrogressive plans cannot be reasonably be drawn. And I'm saying that to say several weeks ago, Councilman Oliver Joseph had drawn a plan that comes up to closer to the benchmark plan than what your plan is being proposed. And that plan is on record, and the Justice Department is going to get that plan. And if, in fact, that you go ahead and adopt a plan by reducing his benchmark and you had a more reasonable plan before you, you have no other reason to get your plan pre-cleared. You got it before you, Plan 1A, but that puts him where he needs to be. And your plan that you are proposing to adopt is doing less, mathematically. And I drew the plan, so I know it's a working plan. And
Mr. Floyd, your time is up.
Mr. Chairman, may have a couple more minutes, 2 minutes.
I'm going to let you go 2 minutes.
yes, sir. And also, let me
Gentlemen,
let me.
normally do this. And you knew you had 3 minutes when you came up.
Yes, sir. But
Go
guess
ahead.
what?
Go ahead. You're on the clock.
Yes, sir. Let me help you out a little bit also, since I have already worked for governmental bodies throughout the state. Your ordinance is wrong. It has, in effect, 2 times that it comes in effect. The lady said 2021 in full force. It's really January 2012. So you have read it twice. I'll be helpful with that. It's not 2021 because, like I said, all my clients, I've done their plan. It comes full into force 2012. Just want you to know that. Just want to be helpful with that on the record. But getting back to what I was saying is that I don't know why that you would want to create a plan that violates the benchmark of the regulations you see before you. You have an alternative plan that fairly treat black voters in District 1, and you're doing opposite. So, you're on the record in terms of knowing that it is here, and any comments or whatever that's before this body concerning redistricting must be sent to the Justice Department. So just want you to put that on record, and I'll make sure that comments are made. And also, let me just tell you this. You're exposed to a lawsuit in federal court. Sometimes they're hundreds of thousands of dollars. And also, again, if your plan is not up to the Justice Department for the 60-day review, you may not have elections in the fall. Anyway, thank you very much.
All right, so thank you. Next will be Miss Robin Penn Delaney, please.
I'd like to say good evening to the council and thank you for having me at this meeting. And I'd also like to thank Parish President Martinez and my councilman Oliver Joseph. My name is Robin Penn Delaney. I am the president of the Ascension Parish NAACP. And some of you may not know, but the NAACP was started for justice for all people of color, whites, black, brown, whatever. But in Ascension Parish, we are charged with protecting the rights of all the people in the parish. And in particular, I'm here to represent District 1. I am endorsing Plan A2, which Councilman Joseph endorsed, because it follows the benchmark more closely. Plan B is in violation. It does not bring the percentage for the minorities close to the benchmark, and it does not do what's right for the people in District 1. So I'm hoping that the Parish Council will review that document. Please endorse what Councilman Joseph is saying. If you do not do that, I would have no choice but to endorse that Councilman Joseph file a grievance with the Justice Department and file suit. And we will be fully behind him in that effort, because we want to do what's right for the citizens in District 1. So thank you again for letting me speak before the council.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Mayor Sullivan, please. Mayor Leroy Sullivan.
Good evening, Parish Council members, and I want to apologize. I listened very attentively, but I wasn't able to grasp all the boundaries as they were read, so please forgive me. I just wanted to comment. Number one, I know that y'all under the gun and y'all have to get a plan passed soon in order to be able to have the elections in October, and I just want to encourage you to do so. When I look at the two plans and the difference between Plan what is 2A and 2B is bringing in the ABIN area into District 1, which would bring the percentage closer to the benchmark. When looking at the two plans and the percentages, although you change ABIN around in the two plans, District 1, the percentage never changed, but in District 2, by adding ABIN in, it went up 2%. To me, I guess it's kind of mind-boggling why it didn't change in the District 1 plan. So maybe the number, the percentage wasn't calculated right. I'm not sure. I know the people that's doing it have a lot more expertise than I do, but it just seemed like something is not right with it. And I just want to encourage the council to, whatever it is, put the differences aside so that you can come up with something so that you can have the elections on time, because that's the most important thing, that you do what's right and have the elections in a timely fashion. Thank you.
All right, so thank you. Reverend Reginald, Reverend, help me with this. Okay, sir. Pedestal.
Good evening. Reverend Reginald Pettisclo. I represent the Western Ascension Ministers Alliance and also the concerned citizens of ABIN. We looked at both plans A and B, and as far as we're concerned, we need to follow Plan A because it follows everything that the Justice Department has highlighted, and it also follows what we need as far as the minority district being completed somewhat, and Plan B simply violates everything that Plan A or the Justice Department has set up. We are supposed to come up with the best plan, and the best plan, according to our calculation, according to our information, is Plan A. And it seems to me that it shouldn't be up for any debate. It seems to me that looking at both plans, and certainly I'm not an expert, but of course I can read, and of course I can figure out how things should go. So Plan A seems to be the only plan, and we should even have to have this particular meeting or this open hearing, because it should be legal. It is legal, but Plan B is not legal. And I also have a letter signed by the West Ascension Ministers Alliance also, that if we are not going to use Plan A, that we're going to have to do something else in a hurry. Thank you.
Mr. Pesco, would you get that letter to the secretary?
Sure.
No one else to speak. I'll need a motion to close public hearing, please.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cullen, second. I'm sorry. Motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Cullen. I'll need a motion to move the ordinance, please.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cullen. Second by Councilman Randy Cluart. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Councilman Valentine.
I will yield to Councilman Joseph first. He may shed some more light.
My question, Mr. Chairman, and I was hoping our expertise was here to ask this question, and one of them was, what was our justification that we was gonna give the Justice Department to go with Plan B2. I don't know what the justification was gonna be that, so I was gonna ask him for that. Okay? And, the other question was if, we follow the federal law, or we use the federal law a lot in this parish. When it come up to sewage in this parish, the first thing we say, the federal law say we have to go to sewage. When it comes to raising houses or flood zone, and that federal law came down and said we must do this and this, we follow that federal law. The federal law is telling us that we must go with a certain plan that meet the minority benchmark number, but we choose not to go with that plan. You know, so we weigh one time the federal law is good for us, and the next time the federal law is not good for us. You know, I have a problem with that. So that's why I stand on this. I just cannot go with approving this plan as a minority in District 1 that I represent, and so that's my comments on it.
Okay, sir. Councilman Valentine, please.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. I guess my first question is that to Chairman, maybe you can answer, why is our consultant not here?
No, I can't answer that.
Well, if you can't answer it, I don't know who can. Parish President, you have any idea? I know you're not involved.
I'm not involved.
No, sir,
I didn't
you're
call
not.
the meeting.
You know,
I haven't talked to it.
Okay, thank you. I've been through redistricting twice, and we went over many plans and started a lot earlier than what we started with this. Not saying that we did it wrong by starting late, but we behind the 8 ball, and we need to do something so that we don't delay the elections. We didn't think it was going to be a difficult task, but obviously, and Mr. Joseph, and I didn't really have a whole lot of discussion with him before the last meeting. He wanted the other plan submitted, and it failed for lack of a second. I wish I'd have seconded it now so we could have some discussion, because technically it's not even on the board right now. Right. And we'd have to start over, which is what we probably need to do. I certainly appreciate the information that's been given tonight by the general public. The consultant makes some very good points, and if you remember when we started this process, our consultant said we have to take care of the 2 minority districts first to make sure that we could redistrict in a proper way so that going through justice you wouldn't have a problem. And to be honest with you, I got some concerns of what I heard at the mic tonight. You have some organizations that are long-standing organizations that are not happy with what it is, and so I feel that that we would be in error without rethinking our situation and what changes. And I will also say that I did not take a interest in the whole parish, because when we redistrict, everybody takes care of their own district. My district was simple. I had 5,000 people to get rid of, so I essentially, since I live close to the poll, it was very easy for my district. So I really didn't bother with any concerns, and unfortunately I was out of state when we had the 2 meetings on it. But be that as it is, it would be, I would feel very uncomfortable to continue on and try to put this for the Justice Department unless we try to work out some situation where Mr. Joseph is happy. Now that may sound a little selfish on Mr. Joseph's part, but it's his district, and it's his people he represents. And if it's not going to create a huge conflict with Mr. Thompson's district and Mr. Shakespeare's district that borders his district, then I think we need to try to work that out. And that's my suggestion.
Any more discussion? Councilman Joseph.
I'll yield to Mr. Shakespeare right now.
Yes, and I apologize. I was at work and couldn't get here before then. And that being the case, I wasn't privy to previous discussions. But I did have discussions with people involved and the consultants and everything, and I'm very satisfied with sending this to the Justice Department to get their opinion and well satisfied to listen to their opinion and live by their rulings on it. If they see fit to not accept it, then we'll do what we need to do. But there's a number of issues there, and again, no one has their district the way they want it, especially me. In my situation, therefore, many compromises have been made throughout this whole council in many different situations, and Lord knows I've compromised a great deal to get to this point. It'd be nice if we could all have our districts exactly the way we wanted them, but I do feel very strongly that we meet all the requirements that are necessary to have a good, strong thing, and it will hold up in the Justice Department. And that's going to be seen only by one way, and that's why we voted and move on.
Councilman Thompson, please.
Yes, I tend to agree with Councilman Valentine, because we just got a big setback if this get to Washington, get kicked back, get kicked out. It's going to just put us off. So I think we need to just go back and rethink all this and see what we could do to get that percentage up if we can. That's all I got.
Any more discussion? I see Mr.
Can we ask the
I
consultant
see Mr. Diaz is here. Could you come forward, please? Sir?
Because his opinion last time was that either one of them would pass muster, in his opinion.
Yes, sir. You walked in on the
What
end.
question do you
was,
have, Ken?
Well, there was a question, the insinuations that if we go with the plan as it is, that it would not it would not pass through Justice Department, that it was.
well, ultimately,
would be
only
illegal.
Justice Department could
Right.
tell us that. It's
Obviously.
0.3% difference. You know, we have a
And
very
how
good
much exactly is the difference?
0.3%.
0.3 of 1%.
Yes.
Okay, so what
And-
is the
Well, you have the
what is
unavoidable.
percentage currently?
It's 76, and the difference in the plans is this is 73.6, Oliver, versus 74. The difference between two
0.03.
plans. So.
Okay. So both of them are over 70% within that.
It'd be very hard to make the argument that the minority candidate of choice can't get elected in that district with a difference of 0.3%.
Right, and that's the
Because
criteria.
in fact, it's still 13 points higher than Adrian's district.
Right.
14.
And that's the criteria that we have to go, that we should be going by. So I'm satisfied that we met our requirements on that.
Okay, Councilman Claude.
Yeah, John, earlier, we had some speakers, and one of the first speakers was a consultant, and he gave us a copy of the federal laws and cited the paragraph alternatives to retrogressive plans. And basically, it was my understanding from what he was speaking is that he was pleading his case for the plan that that Councilman Joseph wanted, but he was talking about the fact that that I guess in his eyes, being open-minded, that any strive to try to get back to the benchmark was what he was basing his case on. And I just don't know, looking at the areas, that if District 1 was at 76 before, and definitely had some population changes in that area, all right, that what will we have to do to get to the benchmark? How much real estate will we have to take
It's that
in?
one single block. It's the difference between, we couldn't get to benchmark.
Will we have to
We
meander?
cannot get to benchmark, and then Oliver, I think you would agree. In order to do that, we'd probably have to follow 44, catch the railroad track and go pick something up in Park Vista. It would be without, unreasonable extension to try to get to 76. It really would. And it was the view of the council that 0.3%, it was unreasonable to send a district down the Mississippi River in order to make up that 0.3% difference. So,
Yeah, and I guess the slang term, I'm just uses meandering,
yes,
is that, stroll down somewhere for miles and pick up a little area.
Yes.
All right. So you feel like that the work and the time that you put into this plan, that what we've got based on 2 minority districts.
correct. And a substantial difference in population. Our minority population is, one, more dispersed. 2, it's a function of 10 years ago, in order to get some of these districts back to benchmark, it was a matter of picking up 500, 700 people. Because the ideal population grew so much, we had to take substantial amounts of population. And it was just tough to pick up 2,900 people, particularly on the West Bank. And I mentioned in the previous meeting, his district is 76% the benchmark now. But if you look at all the real estate on the West Bank that's not in his district, it's only 53% minority. So it's inevitable that you take a district from 76 into an area that is only 53% minority, that at some point is going to be what is termed unavoidable retrogression. So.
Yeah, and I guess one other thing that was brought up before you came in, and I think it's about Mayor Sullivan, I could be wrong, but somebody, one of the speakers, I'm trying to take notes, brought up the fact that when you go with Plan B, that you go with Plan A, which Mr. Joseph wants, and that it would pick up his minority population by 0.7%, but actually putting that same piece of real estate into District 2 picks up that minority of that district by 2%.
Yes.
Okay.
And what we're
I
dealing
just
with
want to
is,
make sure that the numbers that
and I'm not
being thrown
exactly sure,
around-
it's one block, and if I'm not mistaken, it's either 157 or 174 total pop. That's what we're dealing with
Total
here.
population in that
Yeah.
1 census block is 178,
Same.
is 86% minority, and
And it's currently, Kent
Yeah.
currently represents it now.
right now, that 1 census block, and that census block is only the next block over in District 1 that would be accepted. So it's not like it going around all the thing. It's the next block over
Correct.
that would add that percentage
Yeah.
in there and would give that 74.03%.
And I don't think geographically the problem, or at least what I gathered from the council, was that it made your district look less compact, but it sent Kent down the Mississippi River along the levee. So,
So I would just.
once again, I honestly think both of these plans, I don't think you can reasonably make the argument that the minority candidate of choice can't get elected from that district. And from the beginning, I wouldn't have presented both of them if I didn't think both of them could have passed muster with the Justice Department.
So our basis, your justification of it is just that 3/4 of a point.
My justification is that you guys voted for it, and my recommendation is both plans could pass muster with the Justice Department.
Councilman Thompson.
Well, right now, we just got one plan that we just read the ordinance on, that's not on the agenda, so, Tony, where we go from here? We postpone this, we vote on what we got?
What are you asking me, Adrian?
I'm asking you, we just got one plan here
Uh-huh,
that you read the ordinance on tonight.
okay.
The plan that Councilman Joseph, talking about, we didn't read that, didn't, have that here tonight. So if some of the councilmen wanted to take another look at it, how we do it? Do we, vote this plan down? How will we bring the other plan back into play? That's what I'm
Would
asking.
they postpone?
Can I make a substitute motion?
Well, you don't have it, it's not on the
Adrian,
agenda.
We already read this one and had the reading of the ordinance and the public hearing and all, so we could postpone it and then on the agenda have B and A and just read A, and we wouldn't have to read B again, and then y'all could vote on it again if y'all want to make that motion.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
I've got a first and a second on the floor right now. what happens to that, Counselor?
If you have a first and a second, you need to
Right.
ask if there's any objections and have a roll call.
We have a sec, we have some more discussion.
What is the motion? Excuse me.
Motion is
Motion is to
Move
move the
this- to
ordinance.
move the ordinance, approve the ordinance. So we go through that, and you say object to it, and then we can bring them both back? Is that correct?
Right now, you have a motion on the floor to approve this plan.
Right?
You had a first and you had a second. You need to, y'all need to vote on it and decide yes or no, and then from there,
Can I ask, am I out of line asking a question real quick? In order to bring the other one up, do we have to introduce it again and let it lay over for 5 days like the previous
It
one?
has to be introduced.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
We haven't-
it's got to be
Did
introduced.
not introduce it.
Only way we can, we'd have to have a substitute motion where we're at right now.
yeah, they can do that.
I would like to make a substitute
Huh?
motion that
What?
we essentially delay this, the vote on this ordinance till we can introduce the other plan, and then have a meeting that we can respectfully look at both plans and take votes on both plans.
You can do that.
Okay, we have a substitute motion.
Second.
I have a second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Any,
Yeah.
Councilman Shea Snyder, go
I
ahead.
thought that was decided at the last meeting, that we were voting on this.
Yeah.
So we're prepared to move forward, you know, and not backwards.
I have a motion, a first and a second on the substitute motion.
Discussion.
Any discussion? Councilman Kluart.
Yeah, folks, just be prepared that Plan A, as it stands, there may be some discussion on the dynamics of that plan. Okay? Because there's more than one thing changes between Plan A and Plan B. There's actually 3 districts that change when you go to Plan A. All right? We do have several districts that it doesn't affect, probably 6 different plans, okay? All right, like Mr. Valentine's, he'd said earlier. It's, so it's not a simple 1 or 2 issue. So let's be willing to spend the time and deliberate when we go back to Plan A and B. Not opposed to it, but just let you know that it affects more than just District 1 between Plan A and Plan B. It affects actually 4, maybe 5 districts actually moving. I think if you count District 1, it affects 4 districts for sure, possibly 5. So, what's our deadline?
We need to be moving pretty quick, guys.
I understand that.
And in fact, I'll have to
Let's
call the
work this
Justice
weekend
Department
then.
tomorrow. I
Let's
was
work
working
this
on the
weekend.
submission and here's the good news, the submission is not gonna be a whole lot difference between that one single block and the other one, so I'll continue on the submission, and the numbers will change very little. In fact, when you round up, 73.6 is 74, so it's not that much difference. But we need to, and I'll call the Justice Department more, I'll get with you as to what they're telling us, but we'll have to ask for an expedited, review by those guys. That's if y'all reject this plan before you.
Any more discussion?
Could we repeat
Yeah.
how the motion stands? Oh, you got discussion over there. Benny?
One question.
Cinnamon, you got the substitute motion?
To delay action on this ordinance. Okay. I'm good.
Councilman Johnson.
John, one question that I'm trying to get straight in my head. With either plan, we do not make benchmark.
There is no such plan that we can make benchmarks, so yeah, you're correct.
So as far as the one area that's being added in, the .3, we're talking 700 and some odd voters in that one precinct area. Is that splitting a precinct as well?
That is splitting the precinct. But we've
So
already
that
split it.
creates-
We've split it in both plans, we just split it 1 block more.
Okay, I got you.
And it just happens to be a really huge block that, takes you all the way to the Mississippi River.
That's the part that concerns me is reaching through that little gap there to try to create this, and it's not providing that much of a difference in the percentage or the numbers that's going to get us either way. So I mean, either way we go with this, we're not meeting benchmarks. So
I struggle with creating those little lines through different areas and talking with other council members of trying to get those percentages here, there, less than 1%, less than 0.5% to get numbers up. And that's, I struggle with that part. I don't know if there's that much of a difference in it that it warrants changing where we're at and backing up. I don't know.
That's a good question.
Councilman Cluart.
What's the date we got to send it to the Justice
I
Department to
wanted
meet
to
the
get it
deadline?
to him Friday, so I'll have to call him tomorrow. Worst case scenario, we'd like to have had it to him latest is middle of next week. But we'll just have to ask for an expedited hearing. But the worst thing they can do, guys, if we send this plan to them, is send us back with that one block correction. Which we make. And, because you can't, it's this block is the only thing that gets us a little closer to benchmark. And so either that one block is going to kill us or it's not going to kill us, and we make that change and go forward. So.
Mr. Chair.
Councilman Valentine.
Question, since you just said that. Can we amend this plan to include what Mr. Joseph wants? Vote on that tonight and send it.
That would be a question for Ms. Falterman.
Can you amend the plan and what? I didn't hear the end.
Can we amend the plan and change the block as our consultant states and send it with the change? You just made a statement the Justice Department could change it and send it back to us. Can we change, for time's sake, change it the way Mr. Joseph wants it and send it?
I got discussion on that.
Okay, I'm just asking the question. I mean, that's why I'm asking him.
I can answer the question. I can answer the question that when you do that.
Let Ms. Falterman.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it any more complicated than what it is, Tony.
It's very complicated. But you all have a right to change anything at the meeting. But the problem is we've advertised for
Right.
so long of the specific two plans. I could see some legal conflict if we change
Okay.
one little part
Okay.
at the very end.
You answered my question. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Schicksnotter, please.
I think a number of things is missing the boat, and Councilman Cluart said that a while ago. When you change this one little area, it brings up a domino effect to a number of other councilmen within this parish. Number one, in District Number 2, which I currently represent, a while ago, everybody objected to going down a little strip on Highway 44 and picking up a certain group of people. They thought that was gerrymandered. Everybody agreed to that. And yet, they want to change and make District 2, where you're going just down the Mississippi River to connect two separate areas. I think that's just as bad gerrymandering. And if we need to connect our districts. I do not apologize for anyone in my district. I'm very proud of the fact that I have a very diverse district, and it's not an easy district to be a councilman in when you go from one end of the parish to the other. But that's the only way this thing can be done. And so just by that, that's a big deal, that the district should be connected by land, by you can come across the land. It's bad enough we have to go across the river. The other thing is that it puts into Councilman Cluart's district, of which he has been very willing to work with and give up a great deal of his immediate constituents. And it took a long time to get some natural boundaries to make District Number 2 come into his district and still have some natural boundaries where you could do that. And when you change that, it puts a whole new group of people into an unnatural boundary and completely changes the dynamics of it. Is that fair? Is that the best thing for this parish? I think not. We're having a disagreement over 0.3% of a percentage of demographics in this parish on a plan that all the consultants agree will never meet the past benchmarks and that will pass muster with the Justice Department. So there's a number of other factors besides just that 0.3% that we need to consider in this. And there's other people on this council. And so everybody has worked very, very hard to, and everybody on this council has been a give and take with this council to try to come up with a plan. And I believe this is the best plan I've seen so far without going into a lot of other things that is going to happen in the Santa Monica area and then that domino effect going up to the northern part of the parish. So before you start thinking that this is a simple fix, that we're just fixing one group, one little section, you need to look at the whole picture, because I don't think too many people have really looked into what would happen and the domino effect of it. But that's a fact. And so unless you have the answers for everything else, I would suggest we move on and do this. And I'm very, very comfortable with the Justice Department taking this and look at it every way they want to. I think we're being very, very fair and ready to move forward, get this behind us.
Any more, Councilman Clearwater?
I just want to reiterate that from Plan B to Plan A, that logistically it changes 4 districts, not just one. So,
okay.
That's all I got.
Councilman Lower?
So that being the case, that it would have the domino effect, that we're talking about 0.3%, that if we delay tonight, we run the risk of running into Justice Department timelines, jeopardizing the whole election, whatever you want to call it. I mean, this is, we've had plenty of time to look at this. We've been looking at this for a while, but we're up against the wall here. I think we all know it's very clear what the situation is and what the decision we have to make is on that block and that those few hundred people and this 0.3%. It's just, I feel like we just need to go ahead and make a decision one way or the other. Everyone's going to be happy, and this has obviously been a tough process, but we're at the point we need to make a decision.
And
Councilman Clark?
now, and one thing is, the only reason I was comfortable with this timeline is because I thought last week we voted, the fact that one plan didn't get a second, and that's why we presented both of them, that this would be the week that we selected the plan that had the most votes. So, it seems like to me all but one council members supported Plan B. And having just 2 plans presented last meeting, I was comfortable. One of them was going to be accepted or not. And so, I mean, it really changes the timeline, guys. And I would just recommend that instead of postponing anything, because I don't know what more we can introduce, and I don't think we can change the maps any more than we can, either vote this plan up or down. If it gets voted down, then we come back with Plan B, and that's obviously the one that we adopt. If this plan passes, then it's got the votes to pass, and we proceed to justice. I mean, that would just be my recommendation.
Councilman Cullen?
I agree with John. I think we just need to go ahead and vote.
Well, I've got a motion and a second on the floor, a substitute motion. We need to act on it first. We're in discussion mode. Councilman Valentine.
Since the consultant has suggested we do that, I'm going to withdraw my delay motion, if
Okay.
I could do that, and we'll
Yes, sir.
vote up or down.
Okay. I'll need a motion. I've had a motion and a second on the original motion. Any discussion? Any objection?
This is to
Yes.
approve.
To approve.
Again.
Okay, Ms. Selman, please, roll call.
Councilman Kuo,
4.
Councilman Cullen,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson,
Yes.
Councilman Joseph,
No.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert,
Yes.
Councilman Lohr,
Yes.
Councilman Shake Snyder,
Yes.
Councilman Adrian Thompson,
No.
Councilman Valentine.
No.
You have 6.
Okay. Ordinance is adopted. We'll move into agenda item 8, reading of an ordinance Ms. Falterman, please.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask something? Ms. Falk,
Uh-huh.
ain't our ordinance need 8 votes to approve, be approved? 6 with this.
6 for this, it's only for, I don't have the charter in front of me, but it's for financial issues and
I
one or
just
two
want to
other.
make sure. And one more question.
Uh-huh.
Do the parish president have veto power over this?
I'm assuming he does. I don't have the charter with me. I didn't know we'd get this complicated, but yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, gang, I'd have had my laptop with me if I'd have known we'd get this heated tonight.
Okay. Ms. Tony, ordinance, please, number 8.
This is an ordinance to comply with Louisiana Revised Statute 18-532.1, authorizing parish governing authorities to reestablish precinct boundaries in order to comply with applicable law regarding redistricting and reapportionment. This is whereas Louisiana Revised Statute 18-532.1 allows parish governing authorities to divide a precinct into 2 or more precincts, which shall be by a visible feature, which is a census tabulation boundary, when unable to comply with applicable law regarding redistricting and reapportionment, including adherence to traditional redistricting principles in the creation of new council districts following the release of 2010 census population. Whereas the parish council, in establishing these new precinct boundaries, wishes to make such precinct changes prospective, that is effective upon approval by the United States Department of Justice. Whereas upon approval by United States Department of Justice, the parish council wishes to make such precinct changes effective for the October 22nd, 2011 primary election and effective for all other purposes thereafter. Whereas to take advantage of the prospective effective dates of the newly created precincts of the Parish of Ascension, wishes to submit precinct boundary changes by July 1st, 2011 to the Louisiana Legislature and State Department of Elections. Be it ordained that the Ascension Parish Council, as the governing authority, hereby adopts the proposal for the establishment of an adjustment of present boundaries in the parish, which precincts so established by the section shall be numbered and entitled Voting Precinct Number 1 through 18, inclusive, and Voting Precinct Number 20 through 28, inclusive, and Voting Precinct Number 30 through 37, inclusive, and Voting Precinct Number 39 through 45, inclusive, and Voting Precinct Number 47 through 58, inclusive, and Voting Precinct Number 60, and Voting Precinct Number 70 through 75, inclusive. The descriptions of said boundaries are as follows.
Voting precinct number 1. The region bounded and described as follows. Beginning at the point of intersection of Bayou Manchac and Perkins Road and proceeding easterly along Bayou Manchac to Airline Highway and proceeding southerly along Airline Highway to 1477 Swamp Road and proceeding westerly along 1477 Swamp Road to Swamp Road East and proceeding southerly along Swamp Road East to 1480 Swamp Road South and proceeding westerly along 1480 Swamp Road South to 1481 West Swamp Road, and proceeding easterly along 1479 North Swamp Road to 1477 Swamp Road, and proceeding northerly along 1477 Swamp Road to Perkins Road, and proceeding westerly then northerly along Perkins Road to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 2. The region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of Bayou Manchac and Airline Highway and proceeding easterly along Bayou Manchac to Welsh Gully and proceeding westerly along Welsh Gully to 225 Camp Drive and proceeding easterly along 225 Camp Drive to 956 Manchac Acres Road and proceeding southerly along 956 Manchac Acres Road to Highway 42 and proceeding westerly along Highway 42 to Airline Highway and proceeding northerly along Airline Highway to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 3. The region bounded and described as follows. Beginning at the point of intersection of Welsh Gully and 225 Camp Drive and proceeding northerly along Welsh Gully to Bayou Manchac and proceeding easterly along Bayou Manchac to 1052 Muddy Creek Road and proceeding southerly along 1052 Muddy Creek Road to Highway 42 and proceeding westerly along Highway 42 to 956 Manchac Acres Road and proceeding northerly along 956 Manchac Acres Road to 225 Camp Drive, and proceeding westerly along 225 Camp Drive to the point of beginning.
Voting precinct number 4, the region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of Muddy Creek and Bayou Manchac, and proceeding easterly along Bayou Manchac to H.H. Wilson Road, and proceeding southerly along H.H. Wilson Road to Highway 42, and proceeding westerly along Highway 42 to State Route 933, and proceeding southerly along State Route 933 to 1041, and proceeding westerly along 1041 to Joseph Area Road, and proceeding northerly along Joseph Area Road to Highway 42, and proceeding northerly along Oak Grove, Port Vincent Highway to Muddy Creek, and proceeding northerly along Muddy Creek to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 5, the region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of Highway 42 and Highway 44, and proceeding easterly along Highway 42 to Joseph Area Road, and proceeding southerly along Joseph Area Road to 1041, and proceeding easterly along 1041 to State Route 933, and proceeding northerly along State Route 933 to Highway 42, and proceeding easterly along Highway 42 to H.H. Wilson Road, and proceeding northerly along H.H. Wilson Road to Bayou Manchac, and proceeding easterly along Bayou Manchac and State Route 431, and proceeding southerly along State Route 431 to Henderson Bayou, and proceeding westerly along Henderson Bayou to Highway 933, and proceeding westerly along 933 to State Route 933, and proceeding westerly along State Route 933 to Highway 44, and proceeding northerly along Highway 44 to the point of beginning. Precinct number 6, the region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of the Ascension-Iberville Parish line and State Route 30, and proceeding northerly along Ascension-Iberville Parish line to Alligator Bayou, and proceeding northerly along Alligator Bayou to Bayou Manchac, and proceeding along Bayou Manchac to Perkins Road, and proceeding southerly along Perkins Road to Bluff Road, and proceeding westerly along Bluff Road to 1024, and proceeding easterly along 1024 to Highway 73, and proceeding southerly along Highway 73 to New River, and proceeding westerly along New River to State Route 30, and proceeding southerly along State Route 30 to the point of beginning.
Voting precinct number 7, the region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of Bluff Road and 1024 Miller Road, and proceeding northerly along Bluff Road to Perkins Road, and proceeding easterly along Perkins Road to 1477 Swamp Road, and proceeding southerly along 1477 Swamp Road to 1479 North Swamp Road, and proceeding southwesterly along 1479 North Swamp Road to 1481 West Swamp Road, and proceeding southerly along 1481 West Swamp Road to 1480 Swamp Road South, and proceeding easterly along 1480 Swamp Road South to Swamp Road East, and proceeding northerly along Swamp Road East to 1477 Swamp Road, and proceeding easterly along 1477 Swamp Road to Airline Highway, and proceeding southerly along Airline Highway to Louisiana Highway 73 to 1024 Miller Road, and proceeding westerly along 1024 Miller Road to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 8, the region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of State Route 42 and Airline Highway, and proceeding easterly along State Route 42 to Highway 930 Daigle Road, and proceeding southwesterly along Highway 930 Daigle Road to Airline Highway, and proceeding northerly along Airline Highway to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 9, the region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of Highway 930 Daigle Road and Highway 42, and proceeding easterly along Highway 42 to Highway 929 Hornsby Road, and proceeding southerly along Highway 929 Hornsby Road to 6 Abbey James Road, and proceeding easterly along 6 Abbey James Road to Highway 44, and proceeding southerly along Highway 44 to 1020 Causey Road, and proceeding westerly along 1020 Causey Road to State Route 929, and proceeding westerly along State Route 929 to Highway 930 Daigle Road, and proceeding northerly along Highway 930 Daigle Road to the point of beginning.
Precinct 10, the region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of Highway 42 and Highway 929, and proceeding easterly along Highway 42 to Highway 44, and proceeding southerly along Highway 44 to 6, and proceeding westerly along 6 to Highway 929, and proceeding northerly along Ascension Parish 929 to the point of beginning. Precinct number 11. The region bounded and described as follows: beginning at the point of intersection of State Route 929 and Dague Road, and proceeding easterly along State Route 929 to State Route 944, and proceeding southerly along State Route 44 to State Route 621, and proceeding westerly along State Route 621 to 168, and proceeding northerly along 168 to Germany Road, and proceeding westerly along Germany Road to Airline Highway, and proceeding northerly along Airline Highway to Dague Road, and proceeding northerly along Dague Road to the point of beginning. Precinct number 12. The region bounded and described as follows: beginning at the point of intersection of Highway 44 and State Route 933, and proceeding easterly along State Route 933 to Henderson Bayou, and proceeding easterly along Henderson Bayou to Joseph Area Road, and proceeding southerly along Joseph Area Road to Highway 931, and proceeding westerly along 931 to Highway 44, and proceeding northerly along Highway 44 to the point of beginning.
Voting precinct number 13, the region bounded and described as follows: beginning at the point of intersection of Henderson Bayou and Joseph Area Road, and proceeding southeasterly, northeasterly, southeasterly, and southwesterly along Henderson Bayou to Norwood Road, and proceeding easterly along Norwood Road to State Route 931, and proceeding southerly then westerly along State Route 931 to Joseph Area Road, State Route 932, and proceeding northerly along Joseph Area Road to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 14, the region bounded and described as follows: beginning at the point of intersection of State Route 931 and 559 George Rouillet Road, and proceeding easterly then northerly along State Route 931 to Norwood Road, and proceeding westerly along Norwood Road to Henderson Bayou, and proceeding northeasterly, northwesterly, and northeasterly along Henderson Bayou to State Route 431, and proceeding southerly then westerly along State Route 431 to 617 Harry Savoy Road, and proceeding southerly then westerly along 617 Harry Savoy Road to State Route 621, and proceeding westerly along State Route 621 to 559 George Rouillet Road, and proceeding northerly along 559 George Rouillet Road to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 15, the region bounded and described as follows: beginning at the point of intersection of 617 Harry Savoy Road and Highway 431, and proceeding easterly then northerly along Highway 431 to Highway 42, and proceeding easterly along Highway 42 to Amite River, and proceeding southeasterly along Amite River to Bayou Pierre, proceeding southwesterly then southeasterly along Bayou Pierre to State Route 22, and proceeding westerly along State Route 22 to Laurel Ridge Protection Levee Tiger Line Segment 466129, and proceeding northwesterly then westerly along Laurel Ridge Protection Levee Tiger Line Segment 466129 to White Cypress Canal, and proceeding northwesterly along White Cypress Canal to Harry Savoy Road, and proceeding northerly on Harry Savoy Road to the point of beginning.
Precinct number 16, the region bounded and described as follows: beginning at the point of intersection of LA Highway 73 and State Route 621, and proceeding northerly along LA Highway 73 to Airline Highway, and proceeding southeasterly along Airline Highway to Duplessis Road, and proceeding westerly along Duplessis Road to 1531, and proceeding southerly along 1531 to State Route 621, and proceeding westerly along State Route 621 to the point of beginning. Number 17, the region bounded and described as follows: beginning at the point of intersection of 1531 and State Route 621, and proceeding northerly along 1531 to Duplessis Road, and proceeding easterly along Duplessis Road to Germany Road, and proceeding easterly along Germany Road to 168, and proceeding southerly along 168 to State Route 621, and proceeding westerly along State Route 621 to the point of beginning. Precinct number 18. The region bounded and described as follows: beginning at the point of intersection of Germany Road and Highway 44, and proceeding easterly along Germany Road to Highway 931, and proceeding easterly along Highway 931 to 559, and proceeding southerly along 559 to Conte Road, and proceeding westerly along Conte Road to 3A Poirier Drive, and proceeding northerly along 3A Poirier Drive to Lejeune Road, and proceeding westerly along Lejeune Road to Forest Heights Road, and proceeding northerly along Forest Heights Road to Black Bayou, and proceeding northwesterly, then southwesterly to Highway 621, and proceeding westerly along Highway 621 to Highway 44, and proceeding northerly along Highway 44 to the point of beginning.
Voting precinct number 20, the region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of 75 Babin Road and Grand Goudin Bayou, and proceeding easterly along 75 Babin Road to 726 J.D. Broussard Road, and proceeding northerly along 726 J.D. Broussard Road to Highway 621, and proceeding easterly along Highway 621 to Highway 44, and proceeding southerly along Highway 44 to Black Bayou Extension, and proceeding westerly along Black Bayou Extension to Airline Highway, and proceeding southeasterly along Airline Highway to State Route 74, and proceeding westerly along State Route 74 to Grand Goudin Bayou, and proceeding westerly along Grand Goudin Bayou to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 21, the region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of Highway 44 and Black Bayou Road, and proceeding northerly along Highway 44 to Highway 621, and proceeding easterly along Highway 621 to Black Bayou, and proceeding northeasterly, then southeasterly to Forest Heights Road, and proceeding southerly along Forest Heights Road to Lejeune Road, and proceeding easterly along Lejeune Road to 3 Poirier Road, and proceeding southerly along 3 Poirier Road to Canty Road, and proceeding westerly along Canty Road to 1302 Roddy Road, and proceeding southerly along 1302 Roddy Road to Black Bayou Road, and proceeding westerly along Black Bayou Road to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 22, the region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of Harry Savoy Road and Highway 431, and proceeding easterly and northerly along Harry Savoy Road to White Cypress Canal, Tiger Line segment 464973, and proceeding southeasterly along White Cypress Canal to Bayou Vicnair, and proceeding southerly along Bayou Vicnair to Laurel Ridge Canal, proceeding westerly along Laurel Ridge Canal to Gold Place Road, and proceeding westerly along Gold Place Road to Highway 431, and proceeding northerly along Highway 431 to the point of beginning.
This is precinct number 23. The region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of Grand Goudin Bayou and New River, and proceeding northwesterly along Grand Goudin Bayou to State Route 74, and proceeding easterly along State Route 74 to Airline Highway, and proceeding southerly along Airline Highway to Jack LeBlanc Road, and proceeding northerly along Jack LeBlanc Road to unnamed power lines, and proceeding southeasterly along unnamed power lines 228 Cannon Road, and proceeding easterly along 228 Cannon Road to Highway 44, proceeding southerly along Highway 44 to Bayou Northeast Road, and proceeding westerly along Bayou Northeast Road to North Airline Highway, and proceeding northerly along North Airline Highway to Bayou Northeast, and proceeding westerly along Bayou Northeast to Louisiana and Arkansas Railway, and proceeding southerly along Louisiana and Arkansas Railway to West Toby Street, and proceeding westerly along West Toby Street to North Coontrap Road, and proceeding westerly along North Coontrap Road to West New River Street, and proceeding southerly along West New River Street to New River, and proceeding westerly along New River to the point of beginning. Number 24. The region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of Black Bayou Road and Airline Highway, and proceeding easterly along Black Bayou Road to 1302, and proceeding southerly along 1302 to 228, and proceeding westerly along 228 to unnamed power lines, and proceeding northwesterly along unnamed power lines to Jack LeBlanc Road, and proceeding southerly along Jack LeBlanc Road to Airline Highway, and proceeding northwesterly along Airline Highway to the point of beginning. Precinct number 25, the region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of Conte Road and 1302, and proceeding easterly along Conte Road to 559, and proceeding southerly along 559 to 228, and proceeding easterly along 228 to Black Bayou, and proceeding southerly along Black Bayou to Church Point Road, and proceeding westerly along Church Point Road to 1302, and proceeding northerly along 1302 to the point of beginning.
Voting precinct number 26, beginning at the point of intersection of Go Place Road and Highway 431 and proceeding easterly along Go Place Road to Bayou Vicnair and proceeding easterly along Bayou Vicnair to Laurel Ridge Canal and proceeding easterly along Laurel Ridge Canal to Continental Gas Pipeline right-of-way and proceeding southwesterly along Continental Gas Pipeline right-of-way to Babin Canal and proceeding southeasterly along Babin Canal to Black Bayou and proceeding westerly along Black Bayou to State Route 431, and proceeding northerly along State Route 431 to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 27, the region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of Black Bayou and State Route 431, and proceeding easterly along Black Bayou to Babin Canal, proceed northwesterly along Babin Canal to Continental Gas Pipeline right-of-way, proceed northeasterly along the Continental Gas Pipeline right-of-way to the Laurel Ridge Protection Levee, proceed east on the Laurel Ridge Protection Levee to State Route 22 and proceeding southeasterly then west along State Route 22 to State Route 429 and proceeding westerly on State Route 429 to State Route 431 and proceeding northerly along State Route 431 to the point of beginning.
Precinct number 28, the region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of Smith Bayou and Cornerview Road, and proceeding northerly along Smith Bayou to New River, and proceeding easterly along New River to West New River Street, and proceeding northerly along West New River Street to Coontrap Road, and proceeding easterly along Coontrap Road to West Toby Street, and proceeding easterly along West Toby Street to Louisiana and Arkansas Railway, and proceeding northwesterly along Louisiana and Arkansas Railway to Bayou Northeast, and proceeding easterly along Bayou Northeast to Airline Highway, and proceeding southerly along Airline Highway to Bayou Northeast Road, and proceeding easterly along Bayou Northeast Road to Highway 44, and southerly along Highway 44 to Cornerview Road, and proceeding westerly along Cornerview Road to the point of beginning. Did you just read that? Number 30. The region and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of South Lanoux Avenue and West Oris Roth Road, proceeding northerly along South Lanoux Avenue to West Worthy Street, and proceeding easterly along West Worthy Street to South Burnside Avenue, and proceeding southerly along South Burnside Avenue to West Oris Roth Road, and proceeding westerly along West Oris Roth Road to the point of beginning. Number 31. The region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of East Cornerview Street and South Burnside Avenue, and proceeding easterly along East Cornerview Street to South Airline Highway, and proceeding southeasterly along South Airline Highway to South Pepera Avenue, and proceeding southerly along South Pepera Avenue to East Tiffany Street, and proceeding westerly along East Tiffany Street to South Tiffany Street, and proceeding northerly along South Tiffany Avenue to 1692, and proceeding easterly along 1692 to Alicia Street, and proceeding northerly along Alicia Street to East Bonnie Street, and proceeding westerly along East Bonnie Street to 1344, and proceeding northerly along 1344 to East Rome Street, and proceeding westerly along East Rome Street to South Burnside Avenue, and proceeding northerly along South Burnside Avenue to the point of beginning.
Voting precinct number 32. The region bounded and described as follows, beginning at the point of intersection of East Rome Street and South Burnside Avenue and proceeding easterly along East Rome Street to 1344 South Park Avenue and proceeding southerly along 1344 South Park Avenue to Bonnie Street and proceeding easterly along East Bonnie Street to Alicia Street and proceeding southerly along Alicia Street to 1692 and proceeding westerly along 692 to South Tiffany Avenue, and proceeding southerly along South Tiffany Avenue to East Tiffany Street, and proceeding along East Tiffany Street to South Pepera Avenue, and proceeding northerly along South Pepera Avenue to Airline Highway, and proceeding southeasterly along Airline Highway to State Route 30, and proceeding westerly along State Route 30 to South Burnside Avenue, and proceeding northerly along South Burnside Avenue to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 33, beginning at the point of intersection of 1302 Roddy Road and Airline Highway and proceeding northerly along 1302 to Church Point Road and proceeding easterly along Church Point Road to Black Bayou, and proceeding southeasterly along Black Bayou to State Route 431, and proceeding southerly then westerly along State Route 431 to Airline Highway, and proceeding northwesterly along Airline Highway to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 34, beginning at the point of intersection of Sorrento corporate limit lines and I-10 and proceeding northeasterly, then north along the Sorrento corporate limit to Brittany Road and proceeding easterly along Brittany Road to Sorrento corporate limit lines and proceeding northerly, easterly, then northerly along Sorrento corporate limit lines to Bayou Francois and proceeding southeasterly along Bayou Francois to Sorrento corporate limit lines and proceeding westerly, southerly, northwesterly, southwesterly, and then westerly along the Sorrento corporate limit lines to Bro Street and proceeding southwesterly along Bro Street to Sorrento corporate limit lines and proceeding southerly, westerly, then southerly along Sorrento corporate limit lines to Bayou Conway and proceeding southwesterly along Bayou Conway to Sorrento corporate limit lines and proceeding westerly along Sorrento corporate limit lines to Bayou Conway and proceeding northwesterly along Bayou Conway to Sorrento corporate limit lines and proceeding southwesterly, northwesterly, then northeasterly along Sorrento corporate limit lines to the point of beginning.
Number 35, beginning at the point of intersection of Sorrento corporate limit lines and I-10 and proceeding northerly along Sorrento corporate limit lines to Bayou Conway and proceeding easterly along Bayou Conway to Sorrento corporate limit lines and proceeding easterly along Sorrento corporate limit lines to Bayou Conway and proceeding northeasterly along Bayou Conway to Sorrento corporate limit lines and proceeding northerly along Sorrento corporate limit lines to Bro Street and proceeding northerly along Bro Street to Ebby Street and proceeding northerly along Ebby Street to Sorrento corporate limit lines and proceeding easterly along Sorrento corporate limit lines to Bayou Francois and proceeding northerly along Bayou Francois to State Route 22 and proceeding northerly along State Route 22 to intersection of State Route 22 and Weber City Road and proceeding easterly along intersection of State Route 22 and Weber City Road to State Route 22 and proceeding easterly along State Route 22 to Bayou Pierre and proceeding southerly along Bayou Pierre to Petit Ami River and proceeding southerly along Petit Ami River to Ascension Livingston Parish Line and proceeding southerly along Ascension Livingston Parish Line to Ascension St. John the Baptist Parish Line and proceeding southerly along Ascension St. John the Baptist Parish Line to Ascension St. James Parish Line and proceeding westerly along Ascension St. James Parish Line to I-10 and proceeding westerly along I-10 to the point of beginning. Number 36, beginning at the point of intersection of the Mississippi River and Volcon Road and proceeding northwesterly along Mississippi River to River Road and proceeding southeasterly along New River Road to Highway 73 and proceeding northeasterly along Highway 73 to Highway 30 and proceeding northwesterly along State Route 30 to New River and proceeding easterly along New River to Highway 73 and proceeding northerly along Highway 73 to Cornerview Road and proceeding easterly along Cornerview Road to Boudreaux Road, and proceeding southerly along Boudreaux Road to I-10, and proceeding southeasterly along I-10 to South Burnside Avenue, and proceeding southerly along South Burnside Avenue to Bayou Conway, and proceeding southwesterly along Bayou Conway to Illinois Central Railroad, and proceeding northerly along Illinois Central Railroad to Volcon Road, and proceeding southerly along Volcon Road to the point of beginning. Number 37, beginning at the point of intersection of Cornerview Road and Boudreaux Road, and proceeding easterly along Cornerview Road to South Ida Avenue, and proceeding southerly along South Ida Avenue to South Hambrick Avenue, and proceeding southerly along South Hambrick Avenue to West Worthy Street, and proceeding westerly along West Worthy Street to South Lanoux Avenue, and proceeding southerly along South Lanoux Avenue to West Oris Roth Road, and proceeding easterly along West Oris Roth Road to South Burnside Avenue, and proceeding southerly along South Burnside Avenue to I-10, and proceeding northwesterly along I-10 to Boudreaux Road, and proceeding northerly along Boudreaux Road to the point of beginning.
Voting precinct number 39, beginning at the point of intersection of the Mississippi River and 1449 Stafford Levy Road, and proceeding westerly then northerly along the Mississippi River to Vulcan Road, and proceeding northeasterly along Vulcan Road to Illinois Central Railroad, and proceeding southeasterly along Illinois Central Railroad to Bayou Conway, and proceeding southwesterly, then southeasterly along Bayou Conway to Dennis Road, and proceeding east on Dennis Road to 1449, and proceeding southerly along 1449 to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 40, beginning at the point of intersection of Illinois Central Railroad and Bayou Conway, and proceeding northerly on Bayou Conway to I-10, and proceeding southeasterly on I-10 to the Sorrento corporate limit lines, and proceeding southwesterly, southeasterly, then northeasterly along the Sorrento corporate limit lines to I-10, and proceeding easterly on I-10 to the Ascension St. James Parish line, and proceeding southwesterly along the Ascension St. James Parish line to the Mississippi River, and proceeding northwesterly, then southwesterly along the Mississippi River to intersection of 1449 and River Road, and proceeding northeasterly and southeasterly along River Road to State Highway 44, and proceeding northerly on State Highway 44 to State Route 22, and proceeding westerly on State Route 22 to Illinois Central Railroad, and proceeding northwesterly on Illinois Central Railroad to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 41, the region bounded and described as follows: beginning at the point of intersection of State Route 621 and 559 George Rouillet Road, and proceeding easterly along State Route 621 to Highway 431, and proceeding southerly along Highway 431 to Black Bayou, and proceeding northwesterly along Black Bayou to 228 Cannon Road, and proceeding westerly along 228 to 559 George Rouillet Road, and proceeding northerly along 559 to the point of beginning.
Precinct number 42, beginning at the point of intersection of State Route 30 and South Burnside Avenue, and proceeding easterly along State Route 30 to South Hodgson Avenue, and proceeding southerly along South Hodgson Avenue to Bayou Conway, and proceeding westerly along Bayou Conway to State Route 44, and proceeding northerly along State Route 44 to the point of beginning. Number 43, beginning at the point of intersection of Bayou Conway and I-10, and proceeding northeasterly along Bayou Conway to South Hodgson Road, and proceeding northerly along South Hodgson Road to State Route 30, and proceeding easterly along State Route 30 to State Route 431, and proceeding northeasterly along State Route 431 to State Route 429, and proceeding easterly along State Route 429 to State Route 22, and proceeding southerly along State Route 22 to Bayou Francois, and proceeding northwesterly along Bayou Francois to the Sorrento corporate limit lines, and proceeding southerly, westerly, then southerly along the Sorrento corporate limit lines to Brittany Road, and proceeding westerly along Brittany Road to the Sorrento corporate limit lines, and proceeding southerly along the Sorrento corporate limit lines to I-10, and proceeding northwesterly along I-10 to the point of beginning. Number 44, beginning at the point of intersection of Bayou Conway and State Route 22, and proceeding northerly along Bayou Conway to Illinois Central Railroad, and proceeding southerly along Illinois Central Railroad to State Route 22, and proceeding easterly along State Route 22 to State Route 44, and proceeding southerly along State Route 44 to River Road, and proceeding westerly along River Road to 1449, and proceeding northerly along 1449 to 364, and proceeding westerly along 364 to Bayou Conway, and proceeding northerly along Bayou Conway to the point of beginning.
Voting precinct number 45, beginning at the point of intersection of State Route 405 and Missouri Pacific Railroad, and proceeding westerly along Missouri Pacific Railroad to the Ascension Iberville Parish line, proceeding northeasterly along the Ascension Iberville Parish line, the Mississippi River, and proceed southeasterly along the Mississippi River to the intersection of the Mississippi River and the center line of State Route 405, and proceeding southwesterly along State Route 405 to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 47, beginning at the point of intersection of State Route 405 and Missouri Pacific Railroad, and proceeding easterly along State Route 405 to the Mississippi River, and proceeding easterly along the Mississippi River to Bayou Lafourche, and proceeding southerly along Bayou Lafourche to Missouri Pacific Railroad, and proceeding westerly along Missouri Pacific Railroad to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 48, beginning at the point of intersection of Lafourche Street and Opelousas Street, and proceeding northerly along Lafourche Street to Iberville Street, and proceeding northwesterly along Iberville Street to Bayou Lafourche, and proceeding northerly along Bayou Lafourche to the Mississippi River, and proceeding easterly along the Mississippi River to the center line of Lesage Street, and proceeding southerly along Lesage Street to Mississippi Street, and proceeding easterly along Mississippi Street to St. Patrick Street, and proceeding southerly along St. Patrick Street to Claiborne Street, and proceeding westerly along Claiborne Street to Railroad Avenue, and proceeding northerly along Railroad Avenue to Nickel Street, and proceeding westerly along Nickel Street to Chittimatcha Street, and proceeding southerly along Chittimatcha Street to Opelousas Street, and proceeding westerly along Opelousas Street to the point of beginning.
Number 49, beginning at the point of intersection of St. Patrick Street and Opelousas Street and proceeding northerly along St. Patrick Street to Mississippi Street, and proceeding westerly along Mississippi Street to Lesage Street, and proceeding northerly along Lesage Street to the Mississippi River, and proceeding easterly along the Mississippi River to Mississippi Street, and proceeding westerly along Mississippi Street to Tebow Drive, and proceeding southerly along Tebow Drive to Clay Street, and proceeding westerly along Clay Street to Church Street, and proceeding northerly along Church Street to Opelousas Street, and proceeding westerly along Opelousas Street to the point of beginning. Number 50, beginning at the point of intersection of Tebow Drive and Missouri Pacific Railroad, and proceeding northerly along Tebow Drive to Mississippi Street, and proceeding easterly along Mississippi Street to the Mississippi River, and proceeding easterly along the Mississippi River to State Route 18, and proceeding southerly along State Route 18 to Unnamed Canal, Tiger Line segment 5727414, and proceeding southerly along Unnamed Canal, Tiger Line segment 5727414, to Bayou Verret, and proceeding westerly along Bayou Verret to Lemonville Cutoff Road, and proceeding southeasterly then southwesterly along Lemonville Cutoff Road to State Route 3120, and proceeding easterly along State Route 3120 to Missouri Pacific Railroad, and proceeding westerly along Missouri Pacific Railroad to the point of beginning. Precinct number 51, beginning at the point of intersection of Bayou Lafourche and 4th Street, and proceeding easterly along Bayou Lafourche to Iberville Street, and proceeding southerly along Iberville Street to Lafourche Street, and proceeding southerly along Lafourche Street to Opelousas Street, and proceeding easterly along Opelousas Street to Chittimatcha Street, and proceeding northerly along Chittimatcha Street to Nickel Street, and proceeding easterly along Nickel Street to Railroad Avenue, and proceeding southerly along Railroad Avenue to Claiborne Street, and proceeding easterly along Claiborne Street to St. Patrick Street, and proceeding southerly along St. Patrick Street to Missouri Pacific Railroad, and proceeding easterly along Missouri Pacific Railroad to the Donaldsonville Corporate Limit Lines, and proceeding westerly along Donaldsonville Corporate Limit Lines to Pettivin Street, and proceeding southerly along Pettivin Street to 7th Street, and proceeding westerly along 7th Street to St. Patrick Street, and proceeding northerly along St. Patrick Street to 4th Street, and proceeding westerly along 4th Street to the point of beginning.
Voting precinct number 52, beginning at the point of intersection of Fontana Canal and Bayou Lafourche, and proceeding northerly along Fontana Canal to Smoke Bend Drainage Canal, proceeding easterly along Smoke Bend Drainage Canal to Missouri Pacific Railroad, and proceeding easterly along Missouri Pacific Railroad to Bayou Lafourche, and proceeding westerly along Bayou Lafourche to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 53, beginning at the point of intersection of Fontana Canal and Bayou Lafourche, and proceeding northerly along Fontana Canal to Smoke Bend Drainage Canal, proceeding easterly along Smoke Bend Drainage Canal to Missouri Pacific Railroad, and proceeding northwesterly along Missouri Pacific Railroad to Ascension Iberville Parish Line, and proceeding southerly along Ascension Iberville Parish Line, westerly, then southerly to Ascension Assumption Parish Line, proceed easterly along Ascension Assumption Parish Line, then northerly, easterly, northeasterly, southeasterly, then easterly to Bayou Lafourche, proceed northeasterly along Bayou Lafourche to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 54, beginning at the point of intersection of Bayou Lafourche and Ascension Assumption Parish Line, and proceeding northerly along Bayou Lafourche to Rondenaw Lane, and proceeding southerly along Rondenaw Lane to East Bayou Road, and proceeding easterly along East Bayou Road to Evangeline Drive, and proceeding southerly along Evangeline Drive to Acadian Drive, and proceeding westerly along Acadian Drive to Memorial Drive, and proceeding southerly along Memorial Drive to Evangeline Drive, and proceeding southerly along Evangeline Drive to the intersection of Ascension Assumption Parish Line, and proceeding northerly along Ascension Assumption Parish line to the point of beginning.
55, beginning at the point of intersection of Bayou Lafourche and Rondenault Lane and proceeding easterly along Bayou Lafourche to intersection of 4th Street and Bayou Lafourche and proceeding southerly along 4th Street to East Bayou Road and proceeding westerly along East Bayou Road to Vatican Drive and proceeding southerly along Vatican Drive to St. Patrick Street and proceeding northerly along St. Patrick Street to 7th Street and proceeding easterly along 7th Street to Pettivin Street, and proceeding northerly along Pettivin Street to intersection of 6th Street and Pettivin Street, and proceeding easterly along 6th Street to Railroad, and proceeding northerly along Railroad to Missouri Pacific Railroad, and proceeding southeasterly along Missouri Pacific Railroad to Ascension Assumption Parish Line, and proceeding westerly along Ascension Assumption Parish Line to intersection of Evangeline Drive and Ascension Assumption Parish Line, and proceeding easterly along intersection of Evangeline Drive and Ascension Assumption Parish Line to Evangeline Drive, and proceeding northerly along Evangeline Drive to Memorial Drive, and proceeding northerly along Memorial Drive to Acadian Drive, and proceeding easterly along Acadian Drive to Evangeline Drive, and proceeding northerly along Evangeline Drive to East Bayou Road, and proceeding westerly along East Bayou Road to Rondenault Lane, and proceeding northerly along Rondenault Lane to the point of beginning. 56. Beginning at the point of intersection of St. Patrick Street and Missouri Pacific Railroad, and proceeding northerly along St. Patrick Street to Opelousas Street, and proceeding easterly along Opelousas Street to Church Street, and proceeding southerly along Church Street to Clay Street, and proceeding easterly along Clay Street to Tebow Drive, and proceeding southerly along Tebow Drive to Missouri Pacific Railroad, and proceeding westerly along Missouri Pacific Railroad to the point of beginning. Number 57. Beginning at the point of intersection of East Bayou Road and Vatican Drive, and proceeding easterly along East Bayou Road to 4th Street, and proceeding southerly along 4th Street to St. Patrick Street, and proceeding southerly along St. Patrick Street to Vatican Drive, and proceeding northerly along Vatican Drive to the point of beginning.
Voting precinct number 58, beginning at the point of intersection of 228 and North Burnside Avenue, and proceeding easterly along 228 to 1302, and proceeding southerly along 1302 Roddy Road to 1233 Preston Landry Road, and proceeding southerly along 1233 Preston Landry Road to 1302 Roddy Road, and proceeding southerly along 1302 Roddy Road to Weber City Road, and proceeding southerly along Weber City Road to 1302, and proceeding southerly along 1302 to South Airline Highway, and proceeding westerly along South Airline Highway to East Cornerview Street, and proceeding westerly along East Cornerview Street to North Burnside Avenue, and proceeding northerly along North Burnside Avenue to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 60, beginning at the point of intersection of the New River and River Road, and proceeding northerly along New River to State Route 30, and proceeding easterly along State Route 30 to Highway 73, and proceeding southerly along Highway 73 to River Road, and proceeding northerly along River Road to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 70, beginning at the point of intersection of Bayou Manshack and Muddy Creek Road, and proceeding easterly along Bayou Manshack to Muddy Creek, and proceeding southerly along Muddy Creek to Highway 42, and proceeding westerly along Highway 42 to 1052 Muddy Creek Road, and proceeding northerly along 1052 Muddy Creek Road to the point of beginning.
71, beginning at the point of intersection of Highway 73 and Cornerview Road, and proceeding northerly along Highway 73 to State Route 621, and proceeding easterly along State Route 621 to L. Landry Road, and proceeding southerly along L. Landry Road to State Route 74, and proceeding westerly along State Route 74 to I-10, and proceeding southerly along I-10 to New River, and proceeding easterly along New River, and proceeding westerly along Cornerview Road to the point of beginning. 72, beginning at the point of intersection of L. Landry Road and State Route 74, and proceeding northerly along L. Landry Road to State Route 621, and proceeding easterly along State Route 621 to 726, and proceeding southerly along 726 to 75, and proceeding westerly along 75 to Grand Goudian Bayou, and proceeding southeasterly along Grand Goudian Bayou to State Route 74, and proceeding westerly along State Route 74 to the point of beginning. 73, beginning at the point of intersection of Highway 74 and I-10, and proceeding easterly along Highway 74 to Grand Goudian Bayou, and proceeding southeasterly along Grand Goudian Bayou to New River, and proceeding westerly along New River to Smith Bayou, and proceeding southerly along Smith Bayou to Cornerview Road, and proceeding westerly along Cornerview Road to I-10, and proceeding northerly along I-10 to the point of beginning.
Voting precinct number 74, beginning at the point of intersection of State Route 3089 and Missouri Pacific Railroad and proceeding easterly along State Route 3089 to State Route 3120 and proceeding westerly along State Route 3120 to Lemonville Cutoff Road and proceeding easterly along Lemonville Cutoff Road to Lemonville Cutoff Road and proceeding westerly along Lemonville Cutoff Road to Bayou Verret and proceeding easterly along Bayou Verret to Unnamed Canal and proceeding easterly along Unnamed Canal to State Route 18 and proceeding northerly along State Route 18 to the Mississippi River and proceeding southerly along the Mississippi River to Buena Vista Street and proceeding westerly along Buena Vista Street to Unnamed and proceeding westerly along Unnamed to Highway 70 and proceeding westerly along Highway 70 to Bayou Verret and proceeding southerly along Bayou Verret to Unnamed and proceeding southerly along Ascension St. James Parish line to Missouri Pacific Railroad and proceeding northerly along Missouri Pacific Railroad to the point of beginning. Voting precinct number 75, beginning at the point of intersection of South Hambrick Avenue and West Worthy Street and proceeding northerly along South Hambrick Avenue, South Ida Avenue to West Cornerview Street and proceeding easterly along West Cornerview Street to South Burnside Avenue and proceeding southerly along South Burnside Avenue to West Worthy Street and proceeding westerly along West Worthy Street to the point of beginning. The end.
Thank you, ladies. I'll need a motion to open public hearing, please. Motion by Councilman Chris Lower.
Second.
Second by Councilman Randy Clark. Anyone wish to speak on this agenda item, come forward. You'll be allowed 3 minutes, please. Have a motion to close public hearing by Councilman Lower, second by Councilman Randy Clark. I'll need a motion to move the ordinance, please.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Randy Clark.
Second.
Second by Councilman Benny Johnson. Any discussion? Any objection?
Yes, one.
Okay. Ms. Cinnamon. Roll call, please, ma'am.
Councilman Bullock.
Yes.
Councilman Cullen.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman Joseph.
No.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Chris Lohr.
Yes.
Councilman Shake Snyder.
Yes.
Councilman Thompson.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Councilman Valentine.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Motion, ordinance is adopted. I'll need a motion for adjournment, please.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion by Councilman Dennis Cullen, second by Councilman Dennis Johnson.